Good morning, students. So, as we have already started our new chapter, that is chapter number 14, Skin, the jack of all trades. So, in the last class, we have read about the skin, which is the outermost covering of the body, right? So, it is nothing but the outermost covering of the body. Next is their functions. So it was told to read any 5 functions. So they are, first of all, it helps in protection. It's one of the sense organ, as we know, which detect touch, pain, pressure, etc. It also helps in temperature regulation, storage of food, excretion, and synthesis of vitamin D. Today we are going to read about the structure of the skin. So today we are going to read about skin proper. First 2 layers of the skin, that is epidermis and dermis, and the layers that are coming under epidermis are cornified, granular, and germinative. So let's start. So the outer layer of the skin is called epidermis, as you can see this much. So this layer is called epidermis, and the inner one is called dermis. This layer is very thin. This epidermis is very thin part of the skin, and it is formed of stratified epithelial tissue. Which tissue? Stratified epithelial tissue, which piled up layer after layer. In some places epidermis becomes thick and hard as well, that is on palms, okay, even on soles, and especially on the heels. There is no blood vessel present in epidermis. Epidermis shows mainly 3 regions. What are they? First one is, that is the outermost layer is called stratum corneum, or we also call it as cornified layer. What we call it? We call it cornified layer or stratum corneum. Second one is granular layer. So next is what? Granular layer, which is the middle one. Last one is inner Malfigian layer, or we also call it as stratum malfigi, which is the innermost layer of the epidermis. Now let's read about the first layer, that is cornified layer of the epidermis. So as we know, this is the outermost layer of the skin, and it is piled up one after the other, and is present flattened dead cells. So it contains mainly dead cells. These dead cells are mainly made up of horny protein called keratin. Which protein? Keratin protein, which is also found in nails, hairs, horns, hoofs, and silk. This cornified layer is tough and offer resistance to 3 things. What are they? First is mechanical barrier, okay. Second is bacterial infection, and the third one is loss of water. By what? By evaporation. So, this cornified layer offers resistance to these three things: mechanical barrier, bacterial infection, and loss of water by evaporation. The next layer of the epidermis is granular layer. So this layer is actually very thin, only contain 2 or 3 sublayers of flattened cells. So it mainly gives way to the outermost cornified layer. The next layer, that is the third one of the epidermis, is stratum malfigi, or we call it as Malfigian layer or germinative layer, which is the innermost region of the epidermis. So in this layer mainly present the actively dividing cells, which divides rapidly and also press and shift the outward layer to replace the worn out cells of the outermost cornified layer. Do you know what determines the color of our skin? So the coloration of the skin, that is also called complexion, is due to a pigment. Which pigment? Melanin, which is mainly present in the third layer of the epidermis, or we can call it as the innermost layer, that is Malfigian layer. So the quantity of the melanin in the skin determines the color of the skin, whether it will be a light brown or dark color, or it will be a light color, that is whitish. So all is determined by the presence of melanin. This melanin plays very important role in our life, as it protects us from UV rays. Two abnormal diseases which caused due to improper secretion of melanin or because of loss of this pigment called melanin. So first one is leukoderma. It is also called vitiligo. The exact cause of this disease is not yet known, but it mainly occurs due to the loss of melanin from smaller or larger patches at different regions of the body. And the next disease is albinism, which results in complete loss of pigment, that is melanin. It occurs all over the body, including hair, even eyebrows, eyelashes, and iris of the eye as well. This disease, person's skin becomes pinkish in color. Why? Because of the underlying blood capillaries. Mainly recessive disease, means it is caused due to inheritance, and it can only occur if the couple having such disease, and it would get transferred to the child as well. So an albino couple would get all albino children. So the next part is dermis. So this is the inner thick layer of connective tissue made up of elastic fibers. So, and it is quite tough as well as flexible. So dermis contains several other structures. They are blood vessels, sweat glands, nerve fibers, fat cells, hair follicles, sebaceous glands, etc. So the outer region, as this part you can see of the dermis, which is just next to the epidermis, is raised into numerous small processes. So it contains numerous small processes called papillae. And this papillae contain blood capillaries and nerve endings. As we know, skin is the largest organ as well as one of the sense organ. So this nerve endings and sense organs here are concerned with sensation of touch and pain. Even some more receptors are present in the deeper part, so we can feel the pressure, pain, heat, cold, etc. through such receptors and due to the nerve fibers.